Hello there and welcome to my channel. My name is Doug and I'm back with another fountain pen review. Today's review was a long time in coming. I ordered this pen on March 17th and it arrived on June 22nd. Of course, this is all due to the logjam of international parcel deliveries because of the pandemic, and I understand. It also means that I'm the last one to do a video review, as Chris Rapp, What I Ink, Inky Rocks, and Aaron have already reviewed the pen. And David Parker has reviewed it and then taken down his review because this pen is so freaking offensive. So that leaves me with little to say about this pen. Really? You thought I'd have little to say about a Moonman fake, copy, ripoff, and steal? You haven't been around my channel much, have you? Because, my friends, I have a lot to say. Molto grande o molto da dire con molto grande parole. So are you offended easily, especially by my horrible Italian? Well, let's find out. Proprio adesso. So you wait for months and everything comes at once, of course. This package, I waited for 3 months exactly. I ordered this on March 23rd, and today is June 23rd. But this one, I ordered on June 3rd, and here it is, 20 days later. Not too bad. But they both come the same day. So this is going to be a double unboxing. And we're going to open the one from March first. And I have been waiting for this pen a long, long time. And we have a pen sleeve. Got many of these. And it's like giving birth, isn't it? Should I spank it on its bottom? And there we are. The Moonman T2. Finally, it is hefty. I like the color. Of course, I have to compare it to the T1. It's the same kind of anodized aluminum that we see on the T1. But a different filling system. And of course the metal section, not really fond of that, but it doesn't feel too slippery, but it will be a fingerprint magnet, of course. Moonman number 6 nib, and of course this is the interesting part right here. This is the spring filler part of it. Of course it's a little bit sticky to begin with, but that's very cool. So we'll take a look at this pen after I've cleaned it out, do a review. I'm going to talk about the difference between fake, copy, and steal when I talk about this pen and its similarity to the Stipula, but we will do that anon. So here we are with the Moonman T2. I've had the pen for about a week, and I've had it in pieces many times, cleaning it out and examining it. In fact, while we're looking at it right now, I think I'll take it apart for you and show you its really cool features. And what I'd like to do today, of course, is to go over the parts and features of this pen, show some size comparisons, some measurements, and then do a writing sample. But also, I'm going to deal with the issues that make this particular pen so controversial. That is the issue of whether it's a fake, a copy, a ripoff, or a design steal. Or perhaps it is all or just some of those things. Let's address this issue head on. David Parker of Fig Boot on Pens, a reviewer I revere, admire, and steal constantly from, did a terrific review of this pen. Then one of his viewers drew attention to the similarity of this pen to the Stipula Ventidue, which is Italian for 22. They should have called it Duecento Ventidue, because that's how much it costs. The Moonman T2, or Uomo della Luna T2,
is only 25 tarare.
Once David saw that the Moonman was similar to the Stipula, he announced he was against copying and took the video review down. I was a little dismayed. Let me ventidue my feelings about these issues. To skip past my stupid faux Italian rant, just use the chapter feature to scoot ahead to the rest of the review, because I'm in rant mode now. Let's define our terms, shall we? Fake, copy, and steal. A fake is where one product copies another down to the branding and passes itself off as the real thing. There are good fakes and bad fakes. Good fakes are hard to spot for those not expert in the field, and usually will sell for the same or close to the same retail price as the original. Then there are good bad fakes, copies that are branded as the original but sell for insanely less than the original. Is it real or fake? The real one's over $200, but the one on eBay is going for $9.99 with free shipping. Is it fake? You bet your sorry asses it is. Here is a fake Parker Sonnet. I got it for $10. It's a very good fake. Visually, the real thing has a gold nib. This one, not so much. Then we have a copy. Here is the Bauer 388. It's not a fake Parker Sonnet. It is a Bauer, almost look-alike of the sonnet. The sections aren't even the same. The nibs are very different. But the entire Bauer 388 is most certainly inspired by the Parker Sonnet. Is the copy a ripoff? Well, at $4 for this pen, I'd say the consumer is not getting ripped off. Is Parker getting ripped off for their design? No, this pen is loosely using the Sonnet design. Look at these two guitars. The top photo is of a Gibson Les Paul electric guitar. It is a renowned and classic guitar. Not classical, classic. The bottom photo is a Yamaha guitar that is inspired by the Les Paul. Is it a fake? No, it's a Yamaha. Is it a copy? No. There are significant differences. Is the Yamaha inspired by the Les Paul? Absolutely it is. Has Gibson fought long and hard against these guitars inspired by their designs? Absolutely they have. They tried to patent the shape of the guitar itself, actually. They lost. The only thing they were able to patent was the unique Gibson scroll on the headstock as a trademark. And what about the word steel? This is where everything we know comes from. This is human progress in design and engineering. Let me get educational and intellectual here for a moment. No shame if you skip through something that might expand your minds. You are excused from the quiz at the end. I'm going to read from a paper by David K. Levine on intellectual property. David is a John H. Biggs Distinguished Professor of Economics, Emeritus at Washington University in St. Louis. I'm going to edit severely for brevity. Quote, Pablo Picasso is widely quoted as having said, quote, good artists borrow, great artists steal, unquote. Whether or not Picasso was truly the first person to voice this idea is in some dispute. But whoever first put forward the idea, it is an essential truism in the creation of new knowledge. I find the choice of words we use to express it rather curious. Words like borrow, steal, and theft all originally refer to violations of property rights over physical objects, and all have taken on ethical connotations that go well beyond the economic issue of property. When I borrow a colleague's pen to jot down an email address, I deny my colleague the use of her pen for the period over which I've borrowed it. Stealing my colleague's pen, on the other hand, is done without permission and denies her the use of it forever, an activity which Western society not only frowns on, but actively seeks to deter. But how is it that we have come to apply these words to the imitation of good ideas? Ideas have no physical reality, so the borrowing or theft of an idea cannot in any way deny the use of the idea to the idea's creator. And yet, when we talk of music or DVD downloads from the internet, the most frequently used word in the discussion is piracy. Given that my use of your idea in no way denies you the use of your idea, and may even lead me to create new ideas that you benefit from, how have we come to view ideas as if they had some physical existence, that we can lock up behind a set of property rights laws, akin to, but remarkably different from, those we use to protect our physical property, unquote. And in conclusion, Levine says, quote, except in a few rare cases, intellectual property protection does more economic harm than good and ought to be eliminated, unquote. How does this relate to the Moonman T2 and the Stipula Ventidue? While I will not dispute that the Moonman M800's design is copied whole cloth from the design of the Leonardo Momento Zero, not even trying to hide the fact that it is a straight-up copy, not a fake, but a copy, the adding of a ring here and there doesn't make it different enough to be anything else. The Moonman T2 is an inspired by design in my books. It is a design that is similar to the Stipula, but where the T2 has taken some overall shape and look features from the Ventidue, it makes some significant changes that I'll venture to say are improvements over the Italian inspiration. Therefore, I argue, this is not a fake, this is not a copy, this is not an infringement on the intellectual property of Stipula. This is an evolution and improvement over previous designs. Any venting, stomping of feet, or gnashing of teeth will not change the fact that this pen is significantly different from the Stipula, and any claims to it being a fake or a copy or any violation of another's rights is patently ridiculous. You see what I did there? Now let's get to the other bugaboo about buying things from a country like China that has limited freedoms under a communist dictatorship. This argument makes me crazy. The time for making this argument was back in 1980, when there was wholesale deregulation of industries and a mass shift of manufacturing offshore to countries where the living wage was a fraction of the Western world. Now, saying that I refuse to buy a Chinese-made pen because I don't want to support totalitarian regimes and low standards of living means you're just batshit crazy. I just went around my house with my iPhone 7 Plus, made in China, and snapped photos of stuff. I turned my stuff over and snapped photos. This is what I got in just under 5 minutes. My Hamilton Beach, trademark, can opener. My Cuisinart, TM, pot. My Starbucks, TM, coffee mug. My Crock-Pot, TM. My Apple, TM, keyboard. My Sony, TM, DVD player. My Asus, TM, laptop. My Panasonic, TM, battery charger. My Pedersen tuner, TM. My Logitech, TM keyboard. And while we're at it, talking about Logitech, let's look at my mouse here. I'll turn the battery off so I'm not wrecking my computer. It doesn't say anything here. You open up the battery cover, take out the batteries, and then you have to get some light on the subject. And deep here in the dark, guarded by a puma.
Well, there was these vicious beasts in these deep crevices, and these rare men said, "Well, look at those vicious beasts in the crevices. They look like pumas." But they weren't.
You have to get really close. You can see. What's that? Wow. Not you too. Logitech. I love my Logitech. So when you're dumping on a product made in China by a Chinese company, turn the device you're ranting on over and see where it is made, because I'm willing to bet that the workers that made your Western branded product made a lot less money from the workers that made a Hero or a Moonman or a Pen BBS pen. Rant mode off. Now let's look at this controversial pen and see if it's actually worthy of me getting up on my hind legs about. From the top, we see a chromed finial that is dome-shaped and bolted to the cap, holding the clip in place. The clip extends out of the cap and is very springy, and also has an upturned tip, which is most useful. The cap is made of anodized aluminum, which is very silky to the touch and very pleasing. The T2 is available in this tan brown color and in a silver model as well. The cap tapers down again after this engraved line to the barrel, which is just a very minuscule drop from the cap. And we see the acrylic, clear acrylic barrel that goes straight until we see a chromed ring. And then that same anodized aluminum that tapers down to an end finial domed chrome that mirrors the top finial. The acrylic section of the barrel has Moonman engraved on it in deep block letters, twice to ensure you don't mistake it for a stipula. Back to the cap. It unscrews in just about 1 3/4 turns to reveal a shiny chrome concave metal section and a number 6 Moonman steel fine nib. This is the stock Moonman number 6 fine steel nib we've become familiar with in such pens as the C1, the M600S, and the M800. The nib has an electrocardiogram of outraged Italian pen fanatics etched onto it with the Moonman logo, Moonman, and a circle F for fine. There's also a crescent moon breather hole right there to give Conklin fans conniptions. The nib unit unscrews to allow easy replacement with another Moonman nib unit, or the nib and feed may be pulled from the collar and your favorite non-Chinese nib inserted. This one actually comes out very, very easily, and let's put this Bach in there. Or you can put an Italian nib in there. Oh wait, those are made in Germany, aren't they? Well, this is the German nib right here, just for fun. There is an O-ring on the base of the collar, which seals inside the section, and you can actually feel it engaging significantly inside that section, as it is a good seal against this large ink supply. The section does not unscrew from the barrel, but the lower part of the barrel unscrews to reveal the filling system. Just for clarity, the stipula is a piston filler. This is not a piston-filled fountain pen. More on that in a moment. The cap posts not too deeply, but securely. It makes for a very heavy pen, but note that the T2 is 3 grams lighter than the Ventidue. The cap is heavy and backweights this pen, so I would write with this pen unposted, except for short notes. It's plenty long enough in the hand, unposted. In the hand, the pen is very slippery. The grip section should be renamed the slip section. And the pen's barrel in your hand just slides through because of that slick anodized aluminum. It is like writing with a wet watermelon seed. This pen is a spring filler, and no, it does not violate the intellectual property of TWSBI's Go any more than the Stipula's piston filler violates the intellectual property of Mont Blanc, Parker, or Schaefer. One note about this barrel sleeve: to uncap this pen, it's best to hold the barrel by the acrylic part and turn the cap, because if you hold this part, you tend to unscrew the filling system cover. But that's fairly easy to get used to. This filling system does work in a very similar fashion to the TWSBI Go and to the Pen BBS 500, which was also accused of intellectual property theft. Ridiculous. You push on the rod and the plunger moves through the barrel, and then release the rod, and then the plunger rises and sucks up ink. There's also a very cool modification you can make to this pen. By simply taking off the knurled knob and removing the spring, then putting the knob back again, you turn this into a bulk filler or a syringe filler. Now you have a syringe filler, and the pen has violated all kinds of intellectual property rights, from Conid to Pen BBS. In addition, you can get a greater fill of ink, as that piston will travel further without the spring. So whose lawyers do you want to face? The choice is yours, with a simple spring. Elegant. I like it. Like all pistons, this one sticks when you first use it, and a little silicone grease is a good idea. The back of this plunger mechanism unscrews and can be pulled out easily without tools to get at the inside of the pen. Let's take that spring off again, and you can see we take that. There's your piston. I put a little silicone grease on that. This ink chamber accommodates about 1.5 milliliters of ink, where the Stipula piston filler will take about 1.89 milliliters. I will show the numbers for both the T2 and the Ventidue together when we do the measurements. Now that I have the pen in pieces, I wanted to mention something a viewer brought to my attention about this pen. You can see the thickness of this acrylic varies depending on where in the barrel you look. It's almost 3 millimeters thick in the ink chamber, but thins to just under a millimeter out here on the threads. Inside the section, you can see where the threads attach to the section. That's glued in, so I can't actually measure that, but it looks like it thins out to the same kind of dimension as that. With the metal attached to both ends, the acrylic is very susceptible to breakage right here and right here, as some users have experienced. You don't want to drop this pen, especially uncapped. I know my Pen BBS 456 broke in a similar fashion to this from a seemingly innocuous drop. Now let's put these parts back together again and fill this thing. So what ink to choose? Let's consult the Inkcyclopedia. We're trying to match that. I'd say no to the dragon. Copper. This is a popular color. Astrakiza Rot. I've got this in quite a few pens right now. Well, here's an option. That's a nice match there. The Muddy Wine from Robert Oster. And here's our boring Toffee Brown from Mont Blanc. There's a possibility. Muddy Sand from Robert Oster. And Robert Oster Golden, I'd say no. Here we go. Caroube de Chypre. I think we have a winner. J. Urbain Caroube de Chypre. Might as well kill some French accents along with. So the first thing I'm going to do is to take that Bach nib out of there. There, now we have the Moonman nib back. Oh, wait. I think we have another lawsuit coming. Don't you? Look out, Pen BBS. J. Urbain's lawyers will come after you. Okay. First of all, we have to shake this up a little bit. For goodness sake, why can't they hear me shake? What's that old man doing in his basement? Shaking all over. Cap comes off. Stick the entire section into the ink. Do it again. What do you think? I like it.
I like it a lot.
Now let's do some size comparisons. Okay, here's the Moonman T2. And this is the Moonman T1. And putting these two pens together is dangerous. T2 and T1. Do you want Skynet? Because that's how you get Skynet.
There are donuts everywhere.
Lana did that.
Do you want ants? Because that's how you get ants.
And a Pen BBS 500 spring filler, and a Pen BBS 355 bulk filler, and here is a Faber-Castell loom. Now let's look at them posted. Okay, here they are posted, and you can see that some of them don't post at all. Some of them shouldn't be posted. The T2 actually posts okay. I wouldn't write with it posted because that cap is so heavy. The T1 shouldn't be posted for a couple of reasons. It's too long, too back weighted, and that cap rotates, turns the piston, and can eject ink, so I don't do that. The Pen BBS 500 just refuses to post and becomes ridiculously long if you even try it. The Pen BBS 355 actually does post, but it's too long to write with as far as I'm concerned. The Faber-Castell loom is the only one here that has a number 5 size nib, but it posts very deeply and very securely, only it has a pretty slick section, but no slicker than the T1's section. But that anodized aluminum section with the little flare, boy, they should have put it on that one. We'll talk about that in a moment. Let's look at some measurements, and I will show the measurements of the T2 alongside of the Stipula, and then I'll be back with a writing sample. And we're back with the writing portion of the review. This is Clairefontaine 90 GSM paper, and this is the Moonman Te Due with a medium steel nib. And our ink is J. Urbain Caroube de Chypre. This is not a sheep, as in a Baba sheep. This is a sheep, as in Cyprus. I'm sure they have sheep in Cyprus. And here is the swatch of the Caroube de Chypre, along with KWZ Aztec Gold. That's a iron gall ink, and with Mont Blanc Boring Brown.
One is the Catholic Church is a great part of our society, and we should recognise it as such. And I hope every British citizen wants to see this visit by the 14th.
Let's check the wetness. This is a very wet pen. Now, you never know. It's really the luck of the draw with the Moonman nibs. Sometimes they're dry and scratchy. Sometimes they're really wet and gushers. This happens to be a very, very wet one.
And what do you want for Christmas, Billy? A toy truck, get him off my lap, who's wet.
It is a steel nib, so you're not going to see much line variation. There's no pressure. There's pushing it a bit, but it's very stiff. You can see it gets very wet when I push it. And for our writing sample, and for some reverse writing, it's actually not too bad. Very dry, but very thin. And some quick writing. Yeah, it's keeping up very nicely. So, what do I like and what do I not like so much about this fountain pen? Well, I like the filling system. It's the single greatest feature of this pen as far as I'm concerned, and I hope Moonman puts it into a pen that I'd want to write with someday. this just isn't the pen. I like the clip. I like the looks of it, and it's very springy and very functional. I like the look of the anodized aluminum. Not the feel so much, but the look. And what I don't like so much, I think my biggest complaint about this pen overall is that it's just slick. All over, it's slick. It's constantly slipping out of my hands. I think I've dropped it a few times, just handling the parts. Also, that section, which I called the slip section, is a magnet for fingerprints. The absolute minimum that Moonman should have done with this pen is make the section out of the same material as the barrel and cap, like they did on the T1. Actually, like this section. Why couldn't they put that kind of a section on this pen? Why not do it here? I think they were such a slave to the, quote, look of the stipula that they made the section the same as the stipula, even though the same minds that said, oh, let's go ahead and remove that piston and make it a spring filler, which was a great idea, they punted on the section. That's too bad. I don't like the balance of this pen. It is heavy, heavy when capped and posted. Not too bad when it's unposted, but it's still a fairly heavy pen. And finally, the nib is a typical Moonman meh for me. Just meh.
We said meh. M-E-H. Meh.
It's very familiar feel on that nib. Since my Bach is out of a job at the moment because I finally gave up and put a Pen BBS fine nib in my Moonman M800 Amber, I think I'll try the Bach with the T2 for a while. I'm sure it won't stay there because I don't think I want to write with this pen very much. It's kind of like my T1. It stays inked because I like the look of it, but I don't write with it. And there you have it. Finally, the Moonman T2. Like many sequels, it does not surpass the original. And if you like this video, please like and subscribe, and don't forget to ring that bell to get an instant notification whenever a new video is posted. And that just leaves it for me to say, thank you for watching.
I'll be back.
What?
And that's all she wrote.